Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm just going to be showing you this mostly repaired Dr. Frankenstein's Labratory from Lemax. This one was sent in by a customer, and I've honestly always wanted to own this piece but haven't gotten around to buying it yet. Unfortunately for us, this one, the computer board killed itself. It actually had a capacitor explode, which directly shorted out the contacts, and so when you went to turn it on, it just would not do anything. No lights, no nothing. I removed the capacitor, and then the lights came back that were just like these standard always on LEDs, but the movement and any other patterns like lightning and stuff, those were just gonna be gone for good. So this one has kind of been Frankensteined back into service. This is the original CPU that was on the board. So you can actually see the little pinout designations there. And I was able to solder an Arduino Nano into the original slot. This is sort of what one of the Arduino Nanos look like. So I was able to actually use some solder and wires and stuff, and I was able to go onto the original pads for this to engage the original lightning LED, the original green LED, and the yellow internal LED. But the motor power system was dead. It seemed like that was probably the source of the issue that caused it to explode in the first place. Lemax's motor control is kind of subpar. They've never had really something that actually senses when to stop the motor. They do put sensors on either end usually, but unless it's one of the really old pieces like the House of Wax, Madame Ashbury's House of Wax, like the guy that comes in and out of the coffin, it doesn't have any sensors. But this, what they usually seem to do is have sensors that sort of disengage power mostly, but the CPU that they use, the little processor chip, doesn't actually have any live reaction capability. So it doesn't actually sense, oh, hey, the motor reached its destination, shut off power now. It doesn't ever do that. It's just that the sensors kind of get it to stop a bit better, but it's not really telling this CPU anything. So something fried and killed itself because of their bad design, and it's not really surprising. The Lemax, I don't know, their boards, I wish that they would put in actual, like, it doesn't cost much to just do like an Arduino type board or something that actually has code that can react on based on environmental situations or just generate random things. So what I'm going to show you here that I've done with the new lighting upgrades, they're actually random and not permanently fixed sequences. Also, the new code that I've written for this piece, now it's a minute loop instead of 30 seconds. So it's longer, so that should also make the motor actually last a bit longer since it's not having to go up and down as much since it's spread out over a minute. Also, it moves a bit slower due to the components I was forced to use because the whole motor control system was dead. And it's funny now at this point, I've gotten so used to it that it, like, the effects and stuff seem so real and like something Lemax would do that I've instinctively gone to turn up the volume sometimes, but of course to no avail because this CPU was responsible for doing the sounds. But I do think it is definitely amazing to actually have it back in working order mostly, except for sounds. And the effects are actually a bit better than original. I'll show you what inside looks like. I haven't glued back in the bottom. yet, because I wanted to show you it up there in the top. It's kind of hard to see, but up in that corner is one of these boards. So that's up. You can sort of see the black heatsink up here. This board is a L298N. These are just sort of standard motor driver boards, and they seem to be the most easily available chips. So I had a bunch of these anyway, but they've seemed to be really reliable. And also they're silent, because other things I've done in the past involve like relay control. But this is what is now controlling the motor, is two of these pins, which is the motor output pins. And then you supply your motor power and ground, and then these pins are used to actually control either low or high current to the different outputs. And you have up to 4, so you can do 4 individually controlled outputs. And it can also do higher than 5 volts, but since the motor and stuff in here is basically 5 volts, that's what I have it doing. So the Arduino, you can see it's sandwiched and glued kind of on top of the Lemax board. And then I have extra wires going up there. I would have used the original motor control if I could have, but that was not possible. So I cut the sensor wires that are on the bottom and the top, and those are now soldered onto the Arduino. And I hook the motor up to the motor controller. So now the Arduino is able to live sense and react, how Lemax should do it, to the motor positioning. So that the split millisecond that it senses that the motor contacts have been touched, it actually disengages all power to the motor. So it's not trying to run it longer or anything. It instantly just shuts off clean. In addition to that, I also did what Lemax kind of does in general, is their chips are kind of programmed to send power in a certain polarity for X amount of time. So they kind of estimate that the motor should take, for instance, like 11 seconds to go from top to bottom, and then to stop trying to send power after that point. So I did that as well, just in case in the future if these sensors break. And so then it should only be trying to run the motor for like 500 milliseconds longer than if the sensor had disengaged it. So that's all pretty safe and foolproof, I think, for the code. So, also you can see, I'll show you once it starts coming back down again, what happens if you power it off in between. I've programmed it that if it's at the top, it'll just stay at the top until it's told to go back down in the normal timing. If it's caught midway, it has enough time after the CPU boots up to send it back down to the bottom and wait for the correct cue point for it to go up. So this way it actually is able to self-park no matter what position it's in. Again, way better than anything Lemax has done, because across the board, if you like, they had all these different pieces, like the Rest in Pieces mausoleum that I own, that were meant to be shut off with a switch, and they warned you if you didn't do that. What I actually found really dumb is the Rest in Pieces mausoleum does not actually have any safety features there. Their stupid thing telling you to shut it off with the switch actually does nothing. You can actually see my video, because I created a system to basically you plug it in with one of the regular buildings that you can switch off, because I have all my buildings on a big power strip usually, and then I just unplug them or switch them off or whatever. And I created a system so that the rest in pieces specifically could be plugged in all the time to power. And then I built a relay that would switch on and off with the regular buildings, so that way it would activate this turn controller how the building would normally be if a person was actually shutting it off. And what's interesting is if you actually have the volume up on Rest in Pieces and you trigger the shutdown sequence, it just goes through one of the regular runs. It's playing the audio and everything, and all they did is that if the casket guy reaches the back, it just shuts it off. Actually, it has like a I think a self-powered relay, it sounds like, because it clicks. I haven't actually gutted my building completely, so I don't know 100% what they have in there, but they don't actually sense the motors. And so even if you go through the effort of shutting it off, you're not actually saving anything, because if the sensors are broke, it's still going to trash itself. And even if, so like for instance here where the motor is about to reach the top, Lemax, if it was them and you did that, and then it reached the part in the code where it would be sent to go up, it would still be trying to give power to that motor until the X amount of time ran out, not actually based on it touching the sensor. Because if the Rest in Pieces mausoleum actually had sensing capability, all it would have to do is go check 1, check 2, check 3. See if the motors are backed up to the correct point and shut off. That would be it. But instead it goes through the regular sequence, because all they really did there is just in case you were going to pack it up like this, where you're like, oh, okay, I've shut off my buildings for the year and I'm just going to pack it up with the guy like halfway out through the mausoleum doors or something. Like, I think anybody would be capable of just shutting it off. So anyway, that's my rant there. So anyway, in addition to making actual correct motor safety features, which I'll probably be doing this on more advanced buildings in the future that have more motors, because I think I might honestly overhaul my Rest in Pieces mausoleum with new motor tracking capability. I also added new light effects, which has been kind of common with some of my recent Lemax upgrades. So if anyone's seen my recent Isle of Doom video, or I've also done Dr. Stretch Impulse, I've been adding NeoPixel LEDs to the buildings. This one only has 4 added bulbs, but I think they do help to make the effects much brighter and more interesting. This I still haven't glued in, but that's the original yellow LED. Also now it's programmed to flicker like a candle, instead of it just being on or off. It's kind of, the camera's not really seeing that it's flickering, but it is. I'll go through the sequence of events though. At normal standby, when he's in, this is flickering like a candle, and this one's flickering like a candle. There's one in there. And then as he starts coming up, this one turns to purple inside. And then these 2 light up, which are added. So there's one there and one there. So those, since they're NeoPixels, they can be addressed to be whatever color or effect. At normal running, at normal running, if he's inside, they're just off. And then they do like a greenish blue flickering glow, which I was trying to sort of spruce up these and try and add to the idea of there being high pulsing green electricity of some kind. So that's why those are doing like a green flickering pattern. And you'll see once he comes up again. Also, this LED is flickering green instead of it just being on and off as well. And also, depending on if he's inside or out, these ones will do the lightning flash or not. So if he's inside, it does not do the lightning flash, because I just wanted it to be a more subtle lightning effect outside of the building. But if he's out and it's in like full bring him to life mode, then you have a big, huge lightning flash that's all over the building. And it's more like, it's a lot more prominent. So you'll probably notice that, like in here especially, it really radiates the light more. So I think it really makes it more creepy and spooky having a bigger lightning flash. So that's most of just like if it's running normally. I'll show you though once he goes back inside, there's another feature that has been added to this building. On the back side, there's now a switch. This is just masking tape that can be removed, but on is signifying running mode on. Off means that the motor is disabled. And what it does is it self-parks the motor in the top position. And then it'll go through the normal sequence of events here quick. And then after the motor is just going to sit there kind of stationary, then it'll just keep doing this same effect the whole time. So forever and ever, the building will just be plugged in. The motor will not be moving. So this way, if you're worried about it running out the motor belt or anything else, you can just have this piece running now as like a nightlight if you wanted. And you don't have to worry about the actual mechanics of the building breaking down. And the LEDs and stuff should be able to run for a long time. So they're all just going to be doing their patterns, and this is going to be doing its green flicker strobe, and in here it's going to be just the purple, and it'll have the lightning and everything. The sequence of events is actually the same. So the normal times when he would be inside, it still had lightning flashes programmed for when he would be inside, but it's able to tell where he's located and if the switch is enabled or disabled, and based on that fact, it is able to know what effects to do. So again, much smarter than anything Lemax has pulled off. And so yeah, the effects actually respond to the environment more of if you want to have the motor enabled or not. So all of this is pretty nice, I think, as the piece will continue to live on. And honestly, you wouldn't be able to tell that the original CPU died, except for the fact that the lights are actually kind of stronger and even better than originally. And I'll go ahead and re-enable the motor now. And so now this is the normal time when he would be sent back in, because the code is still continuously running in a loop. And so now it's kind of just starting over in the sequence of things. Yeah, so I think it's pretty neat that it's actually been brought back to life. And also you can see in this side of the building it's much brighter since I added that other pixel LED inside to help illuminate things. Yeah, so as far as I know, I have not seen this on any other Lemax buildings or like anything. I haven't ever heard of someone resurrecting a completely dead building. Because by all regards, if the CPU dies, that's kind of it. Usually that just means your building is going to be in whatever state it was, and that'll be that. But actually getting the animations to work again and the light effects to go again and actually having everything functional except for sound is something I have not ever heard of being done on Lemax buildings. So if anyone actually has a really rare building or one that's sentimental and it killed itself kind of like this one did, it is possible for me to actually go through and reanimate it. And I could even add new effects or new methods for how it would normally do things. This is just heavily inspired by the original, but it actually has more lightning flashes and a longer loop. But overall is largely similar with how it operates. So anyway, thank you for watching. I have contact info on my channel about page for reaching out to me. I have a phone number there which you can text me at. Usually calls. There, it goes through an answering machine, which was for my other YouTube channel, more as like a comedy skit thing. So if you call it, it's like an auto answer that might throw you off for the coffee flavored tea factory. But you can text me there, and sometimes I might pick up the phone if you dial operator once you get through the answering machine, but it's not 100% since it's a landline phone and I'm not usually there in the room where it rings. So anyway, thank you for watching, and stay tuned if you have other interest for Lemax repairs, because I'll be doing more. So thanks, and I'll see you in the next video.